Hi guys, my name is Wathoni and you're welcome to the Baby Talk Show. On today's episode, we'll be discussing the baby lounge. And with me here, I have Mrs. Itoro. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So just shortly before we started shooting, we're discussing, and she has 3 kids after waiting for 7 years. I think you should share that before we even go into any business of the day.
So I think that pretty much just sums it. So it was 7 years of deafening silence, so it wasn't a case of, there was a medical issue, which is actually much more frustrating. If there are issues, then you would say, oh, that's the reason, why. I mean, 7 years of hope, wishing for a miscarriage, just to have, some kind of sign,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how traumatizing this journey can be. It's a lonely path, so for those moms in waiting, and that's what I choose to, describe them as, right? It's a difficult path. So if you have them around you, you should reach out to support. You may not have to say, just be kind. Yeah. That's what I would say. But when those children start coming, you almost completely forget all those years of waiting. It makes it worth.
So now you have 3 kids, boys, girls?
Yes, so I have 2 boys and a girl.
So the boy is the firstborn?
Yes, so we have a boy, a girl, then a boy.
Nice. Their ages?
So the first is 13, 11, and 8. And interestingly, they all came without planning. So after the first one came, that's how they just kept coming. And somewhere in between, there were also miscarriages. So be careful what you pray for, right? And so we had to do family planning, after the last one,
Would you like to talk about family planning?
Oh yes, so because I started having a couple of miscarriages, right? The doctor advised, look, you can't afford to leave yourself open anymore. I mean, this is a woman who for 7 years nothing happened. So we already had a natural contraceptive, so to speak, So when we noticed that, I started taking in, it just made sense to, get some advice on family planning. I mean, I wasn't a spring chicken anymore. So.
But 3 kids, well done.
Thank you. Yes, you can say that again.
After I had the first son, I'm like, never again. But I'm the only child too, so I can't have my son be the only child too. So yeah, try again.
Please do. You probably have twins this time around.
Honestly. So let's go to the business of the day. Baby lounge. Why baby lounge?
So Baby Lounge was born out of a personal experience, right? And it will be interesting to note that we've been on this journey for 16 years. So different phases. Now, we initially started before we even started having kids, right? Started from a little room, in my house. And then we came up with the idea of the office creche. And the first company that we approached, said, oh, take up the space or rent a space close to ours, and then we would take it up from you, later. So that didn't work. That fell flat on its feet. Because the concept of the office creche was, we go into your building, you give us a space, we recommend furniture and fittings, and then, your staff use the service, and you just pay us for running the service and for setup. So that didn't work, and I went back to paid employment. So that business was a colossal loss, the first 2 years. Now I went back to paid employment, and then, our baby came. And then I realized there was also a gap. So my mom was with me, and she had to go for a day or so. And so I was at a loss where to put him. So I brought him to the office, because he had a doctor's appointment, that day. And then it occurred to me that we just needed a corner. So if you have moms who had children, and I just said to my GM at the time, why don't we just create a corner? And he says, I don't think the institution has a DNA for it. So find out. And I just did a survey. It was amazing, the responses that we got. And interestingly, about 75% of those respondents were men.
Oh, wow.
So, it was beneficial to them because it meant that they would be making some savings. If there was an office creche, right, which was either subsidized or fully funded by the company, it meant that they won't be paying commercial creche. So at that time, the idea started budding. And then, we had to look for a more permanent arrangement for him, creche. And of course, being a child, we were finicky. So we went, shopping, and we wanted creches around the workplace, in close proximity to our office. And I wasn't ready to leave paid employment at the time. And I didn't think that I should be forced to leave paid. And I didn't think that I was a bad mother for wanting to hold on to a career. So, we went shopping, and it was amazing that we found very few to choose from. So it was one thing or the other. And we wondered, were we looking for anything extraordinary? No, we just wanted a nice setting, right? That had, kind people who genuinely cared for the children that were entrusted to their care. So we were not having all our boxes ticked. So I saw a gap and I saw an opportunity. And then plus the fact that I loved, working with kids, and I had done this before and failed. And so it was an opportunity to try it again. And so I had, someone call me while I was still working to say that, oh, are you still running the creche? Remember, I attempted to run one.
Yeah, I was even going to ask you a question about the little room, but go on.
So I moved from the little room and rented, a space, a cabin near the office that promised they were going to take it over, but never did.
But from the little room to the office, were there kids in the little room?
Yes, so there were kids, there were a few kids. Maybe there were 4 kids.
What was the
age group?
Yes.
Okay, so we had, babies. Interestingly, the first child that came to us, she came to us at 2. She's 18 or 17.
Now.
About now, yes.
Nice. Yes. Do you still keep in touch with her?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We keep in touch with her parents. In fact, her nephew came to us 2 years ago as a student.
In the baby lounge?
In the baby lounge, yes, in the baby lounge that he was. So, we've been on this journey. I went back to paid employment twice, and then we now came on, there was an opportunity to set up a creche for a multinational, right? And we bidded for the job, and we got it. So we came back on this journey, and that was how the baby lounge evolved. Okay. Now, the baby lounge is about 4 years, right? And when we first started, it was not the baby lounge. It was a name called Kidsdom.
Oh, kids?
Kidsdom. So it's a fusion of kids and kingdom.
Okay.
So the baby lounge evolved from that, and then the passions just grew. And so out of just a setting that was supposed to be just within a work area, we have 12 services.
Okay. One major question before we round up. As a new mom, most new moms are conflicted. Do I decide to be a stay-home mom? Like you didn't want to stop working. You still wanted to do your 9 to 5, still wanted to go into business, baby lounge. There are others that, let me get a house help or a nanny to care for my child. And then there are those who would rather take their child to creche or daycare. So what would you advise? I know you would definitely say daycare, yes? But
interestingly, I would not.
Really? Okay.
We are too good to be true. So we are one of those who refer and recommend other creches. If our creche does not work for you. So we make it our business to know what happens in other preschool and other early years settings, so we can recommend to our parents and we can support them properly. Now, I would say, to answer your question directly, I would say there are support systems. Your nanny is a support system. The creche is a support system. Your mother-in-law is a support system. Your mom is a support system. Now, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. It still does take a village to raise a child. It's just that the villagers are different. Now, the creche is one of the villagers. Now, I would say to you, get a support system that you're comfortable with and that works for you. If you're not comfortable with it, by all means, drop it. Sure. Now, you may not be comfortable with the nanny. I would tell you, the parents that I serve, right, do not use their nannies as their support system for childcare. Okay. Now, they may have nannies for other things. So it doesn't make them, you know, any less of a mom than you who has chosen to, you know, use other options. Yeah. You know, take the option that works for you. Now, you know, I say to parents, right, if you leave your child at home with a nanny and you have webcams, a lot of moms these days have webcams. Yeah. The webcams are cold comfort. They're after the fact. God forbid that you'll be watching your child being molested. True. You'll just watch. So, you know, and people choose these different support systems for different reasons. Now, you would have moms who would say to you, I would rather use a creche because they will be more accountable and there are more people around. Yes, there are more adults around who would supervise, you know, that child better. So I would say, take what works for you, which is also one of the reasons why, you know, one of our main slogan is childcare that gives you peace of mind. So you would drop off your child at 7, and the children spend more time with us. So imagine a child who is dropped off at 7 and picked at 4 or 5. We do extended hours, 7 to 7. That's our normal working hours because, you know, the whole creche service for us is a support system for moms. So it has to work for the moms.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Itoro, for being here. I've learned a lot. And for the records, it's creche for me.
Oh, good.
Yes. So I took my son to a creche.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
A lot of moms are beginning to be more comfortable.
Yes. But before we even completely finish, I was going to forget. Let's do our ritual, the baby shark. Okay. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark,
Mommy
shark, do 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 do. Mommy shark, do 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 do. Mommy shark, do 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 do. Mommy shark.
Where's Grandma? Grandma shark, do 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 do. Grandma shark, do 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 do. Grandma shark, do 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 do. Grandma shark. Grandpa
Shark, do 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 do. Grandpa shark, do 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 do.
Grandpa shark, do 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 do. Grandpa shark.
Okay. Remember, there is no such thing as being a perfect parent. Just be a real one. That's it on today's episode. Until next time, bye guys.